Thank you for sharing your Wednesday evening with me. I am JB Bryan, the President and Chief Investment Officer at JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm and the home of AfroEconomics, established in 1995. Yes, we are celebrating almost 25 years of service, building wealth in the Black community. Don't forget, September 14th, Black Health, Black Wealth, absolutely complimentary. Don't cheat yourself out of that opportunity, but you have to register. Make sure you register. We got the radio station coming out. It's going to be a stone blast, honey. It's going to be a day party. I'm really excited about it. Y'all know I love music. So it's an opportunity for us to move, to be excited, for members of AfroEconomics to share their story and to tell you everything that's been going on in their life from a health perspective. So we have panelists. One of the members, she's a fitness expert. We have a member who is a holistic medicine expert. We are going to learn things that we've never learned before. In addition to, we're going to dance. And some people are going to line dance, because I'm not a line dancing person. I'm an entrepreneur. I do my own thing. But those who are team players are going to do some line dancing too. And you're going to have a lot of fun. Indeed. So I have like a lot of notes. And whenever I find a topic that I'm really excited about, I get like, and I get all these notes. So I have like 5 pages of notes. So I'm going to start immediately so that we can continue to move forward on the 8th principle of AfroEconomics, credit confidence. I don't talk enough about this, but a key part of membership is making sure that we all have a perfect 850 credit score. Look, if we don't have it, our life commitment is to head that way. We are on that way. We are going in that direction. You know that according to the research, there's this research company, Trulia. It says that minorities find it harder and harder to gain access to credit, especially when it comes to mortgages, they said. But I'm adding to it business loans and mortgages. You know that the home ownership rate for minorities is on the decline. Is home ownership on the decline for you and your friends? I'm not exactly sure that that's because of credit, but maybe that we discovered that when this mortgage crisis went through, we were the ones that were hit the hardest, and maybe we don't want to let you do that to us again. So now we're gathering our equipment, we're gathering our knowledge, we're getting ourselves together, and we're building wealth alternative ways, like through our businesses and through the stock market, and then also, using mortgages. But we know now that that's not the only way to build wealth. That we know now, and so you should check out my video on people who rent. Is it really throwing away money? That's such a big statement that people say in order to sell you something. But the most important thing is that we need to take control over every situation when we sign the dotted line and go into debt for someone. School loans, another, and plus parent plus loans, we talked about that. Every time we sign anything, if you are a member of AfroEconomics, you let them know, wait a minute, I want to run this by my financial advisor. That's what we have to do. We got to have somebody else to look at it. Like last night, I was working, and I was, just going through this whole topic. And then I said, you know what, this whole Equifax situation, let me check this out. I'm going to click this link and I'm going to put in my info, and I'm going to see if I'm a victim of this Equifax breach or hack. That has my information been put out there. So I put in my info, and I'm like confident that it was going to say no, because I'm like, these things don't happen to me. I monitor my credit all the time. I pay for this monthly, blah, blah, blah. And then, boom, it said, yes, you have been, you are included in this. Somehow my information has been shared in all of this thing. And I'm like shocked, like, whoa, maybe this is something that I should be talking more about. This happened to me. That means it can happen to anybody. And so, and then I went through to pick, like, it gives you all these different options. So if you haven't done this, make sure you go to that Equifax information and go and check and see if you if you can be a claimant to claim against what may have happened to you, especially if you really have somebody has put something like my information was shared, but no one did anything damaging to me now, but it could come up in the future. So they have where they can offer you free monitoring services, or you can get money. So, me being me, I'm like, no, I want the money. Cash is king. Give me the money. And then I close it out. I fill it out, get the money. And I'm telling Dia, like, hey, I said to Dia. Dia was like, well, didn't you hear that they said that people are only going to get like $6? And I was like, no. And I was like, they wouldn't do that. They would not do that. So then I go back. Now I'm saying this to tell you why it's so important for you to check back with someone else. Like anything you sign, anything you do, make sure that you have somebody else look at it that you trust. And she said that. I went back and I read. I wasn't like rushing this time. I actually read, and it said up to $124. So I did not win the lottery, obviously. but that key, like up to, may have actually changed which of my options I was choosing. But I was just like, well, I'm already paying for the regular monitoring, and I would rather do the monitoring myself. Then I tried to make Delia feel bad about she chose the monitoring, because I wanted to tell her, it's like, why would you let the people who did this to you monitor you? Like, because I'm trying to feel better about my 124 not being 124. So I just wanted, she's like, oh yeah, I guess that's a reason. But it is true. Both of these are true. That up to does not mean you will get what the maximum amount. And then also, we have to be careful in allowing the people who did the crime give us the fix, when they've also said that they didn't do anything wrong, which I thought was funny when I went back and I started really reading the fine print. They're just throwing this out here. It's not really approved. It's not really real. They're probably playing with our mind. This is amazing. So I say this to us as Black people, where every dime counts for us, where we are disproportionately turned away from opportunities that we could have been able to take advantage of if we had known just a little bit more about what they want from us. Black applicants are disproportionately turned away as compared to whites in 48 metropolitan areas, according to the study found by Trulia. This is what they said. I'm not making it up, that we are. So there are some people that get frustrated when we have this point of Afroeconomics, that the whole existence of Afroeconomics bothers them as a Black person, because they want to believe that this doesn't happen to us, but it does. So we have to definitely check on these. We have to really have a check and balance, have a team. It takes a village, right? They say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to build a millionaire. Wow. Oh, Mr. Yancey, I'm sorry. You said you hear me quite clear, but the screen is frozen. I hope that's because you live in the suburbs. We're not going to call it the country. I think that's a suburban experience, because you know what? I did everything I could, to make sure that I'm on the Ethernet this time. Like, I'm like, right? Ms. Copman says, what about money put in banks by predominantly Black churches. Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you, Maurice. Yeah, Maurice is in the city. He can see us. He's in MT. He's moving. See, he said he lives in the sticks. That's okay, and not ashamed to say it. That's right. That's yours. It's yours. That's right. Indeed. Indeed. Some of the nicest people I know, like you, Mr. Yancey, live in the sticks. Indeed. Well, I definitely. So Ms. Cotman says, what about the money put in banks by predominantly Black churches? I think, so I guess your point there is, how can we be turned down disproportionately by these same banks that our churches are filling up with money? I guess that's what you're saying, and then, the deposits that we're making as a community overall, how can we be disproportionately turned down? And a lot of it is in the research where we're more likely, if we have a credit problem, we're more likely, according to their research, to be taken to court for it. So if we have a credit card balance, they may let them slide, where we're more likely to be, according to their research, taken to court, and we don't have the money to defend it in court, or they take it to court, they take all of us to court, but because they have more money to defend it in court, they don't get the judgment against them. And a judgment against you is 20 years, not 7 years and then it falls off. A judgment is 20 years, they can keep that on. So anytime anybody threatens you with a judgment, we have to crawl to court and try to fight against it. But if you have the money where you can fight it, and you can actually get legal protection to explain your situation, then you're less likely to have that on your credit at all. Then you're more likely to be approved for the loan. You're going to get it. You're going to be approved. So then let's think about, so these are just some things I want to throw out here on what we can do to increase your score. Paying down your revolving balances over time, paying it down, not putting more money on it each month, but paying it down and eventually off. Even better, pay off your credit card in full each month rather than carrying a balance forward. Paying it off. Don't even let it get big. Don't let the balance accumulate. And never exceed your credit limit on your credit cards. Don't. And I remember when I was in college, exceeding the credit limit was just like, hey, I hope it goes through. You know what I'm saying? It was just something you did. You just had it. I remember getting to college, a couple months into it, they sent me $1,000 credit card, and I thought it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I remember paying that off, and I was like, I thought $1,000 debt was the biggest thing in the world until I saw my school loans come in. Look at the percentage of school loan debt. The debt, we are more likely to have a higher school loan debt than anyone else. The school loan debt is impacting our ability to be approved for the loan. Because we're getting the education, and there's more and more of us educated, but our wealth numbers are going down. So that means that we're getting the education, we're getting the income, but we're going into debt in order to create it. So your wealth is your assets minus that debt. So if your assets aren't outpacing that school loan, because all you did was go to school, you got out of school. A lot of times people don't even get a job when they get out of school, right? So you're coming out of school and you've got $40,000 in school loans. So you're already negative $40,000 in wealth, negative, whatever that loan is, because you have no assets. You don't even have a job, which is not an asset that you can value on your balance sheet. It's not included. All you have is potential. And that's what we have to explain to our young people, that you're trying to build your knowledge so that you can get a job. So now we need to try to also make an extra effort to focus on everybody doesn't have to just go to school and get a job. Why can't we start in creating wealth immediately by building and starting our own businesses? Because your business, the more you serve it, the more people you help, you're immediately building wealth. I believe that that's why there's such a big wealth gap between, Black people and Hispanic people, and Asians outpace us in wealth because of what? I believe it's because they have businesses. They're more likely to have a business, and we're more likely to have a job. And working the job 30 years, we have to create that wealth through what we save of that income. And that's why I'm so passionate about having that proper asset allocation for your TSP, allocation for that 401k, because you can build those millions like a person who did 30 years in their own business and they have $10 million business. You can build as much as you can, but that means you got to save at least 20% or more of your income every day of your working life. So look at this. What is credit invisibility? About 15% of Blacks and Hispanics are credit invisible compared to 9% of whites and Asians, according to a CFPB Consumer Finance Protection Bureau report in 2015. It may be a little better, it may be worse. These differences are observed across all age groups, suggesting that these differences materialize early in the adult lives of the Black consumer and persist thereafter. 15% of Blacks and Hispanics are credit invisible. So credit invisible, what? When you don't have anything for them to see. Credit availability for you, when the lender wants to check on this on you, there's nothing there, right? That's something, we have to think about, like what do you want the credit for anyway? What are you trying to acquire? Are you trying to acquire something that you should be saving up in order to get? Why does it really have to be where, that this is like what you're supposed to do in life? Go get a loan get a job, get a loan, get a house, get a car, get a house, borrow for school, this and that. Like, why is that like just understood that that's the way it is to be, when we know we grew up in a country that did not allow us to finance things, and we had things, that we have to do more creative financing within our own community, especially within our own families. We're relying too much on outside sources instead of relying on one another to build from within and use alternative sources of financing your businesses. Why aren't our families wanting to get involved in our businesses? If you can't invest in your child, who can you invest in? What have you done wrong where you would not want to invest in your child's business, but you would want to invest in Microsoft or Amazon, but not in someone you've known their entire life? So that's definitely, let me look at you. And then I want to talk about hacks and hacks and breach. Wow, invisible. Yep. Dr. Williams said you gave me a link for Black women investors. Exactly. Yes, indeed. Okay. I'm going to go to that in a second. Definitely. You got to expand on that so that I won't have to go over there and then read and then come back and everybody will be like, what is she doing? So like, tell me more, Dr. Williams. Indeed. And then, so let's look at what is a breach versus a hack. And I'm just talking about this because I want to make sure that I share. And I started off talking about, this one also share this. If it was not, but I wanted to show you like the, this list of different breaches and hacks that have happened, because I was telling you about that Equifax situation, but there's an article that just came out. I want to show you, was saying about all of these breaches of information that's been out there where we weren't able to check on, and then when things happen to our credit, we don't really know because these people didn't tell us. Like just this week, July 30th, or just a couple of days ago, July 30th, 2019, 100 million people were involved in a breach. Capital One suffered a data breach. And then I'm gonna tell you like the data breach, that's Capital One, July of this year. May 2017, that's the Equifax one, 143 million. And that was a hack that stretched for 3 months, and I was included in it. Wow. Marriott Corporation, 2014 through 2018. Dang, 4-year hacking campaign. 383 million people. Do you hear this? Originally, they thought 500 million guests were impacted. I heard nothing about that. Facebook, 2016 through 2018, 87 million people. Anthem, 2015, 20 million. Hackers infiltrated Anthem Insurance. Whoa. Swipe the names, birth dates, member IDs, social security numbers, address for more and more of almost 80 million people and former employees. Whoa. Yahoo, a hack. So we're going to talk about the difference between a breach and a hack. 3 billion. Yahoo, 2013 through 2014. So not just Equifax. So what is a breach? A data breach is the unintentional release of secure or sensitive information from a trusted environment into an untrusted environment. So some of those were breaches, but the majority were hacks. Goodness gracious. One that had the hack for 4 years? A data breach occurs when information that is unintentionally left unsecured is viewed by someone who shouldn't have access to that information. Well, you still left it unsecure. What in the world? We have a responsibility. What is a hack? So a hack is any modification of computer hardware or software that is different from the original intent of the developer. In practical terms, it says hacking is usually carried out by cyber criminals in an attempt to steal private information and commit identity theft and fraud. Whoa, there is a difference. So basically, they're saying a breach, there's no malicious intent. And even though it may cost a lot to recover from it, they're saying like a major problem for small businesses, a major expense is that a security breach can put them out of business. And then a freeze versus a lock. So this is for you. Now, breaching and hacking, those basically are businesses that you're doing business with. But how do you protect yourself, right? So the business gets breached or your information gets breached by your insurance company. And how do you protect yourself? And then, so we can use, among other things, like, send something to the newspaper and threaten that anybody use your credit, you're gonna punch them, right? You can do what's called a freeze or a lock. And so now we know what's a breach versus a hack. How do you freeze your credit account versus lock it? So a credit freeze and a credit lock are two of the ways to protect your credit reports from being used by scammers to open new accounts. So the term freeze versus the term credit lock, a lot of times are used interchangeably, but you shouldn't. Because when you freeze your account at the 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, you restrict access to your credit report. So when you freeze it, to unfreeze it, you will have to actually, notify the company using a PIN number, or they might say it has to be in writing. But you're going to have to go through a process, and it's as automatic as a lock. So a lock, generally, you're restricting lenders' access, but you can unlock your credit report immediately at any time on using an app or on your computer. But generally, the locks charge you a monthly fee for the credit lock services, generally, where the freezes are generally free. So let's talk about, before you leave me, ways to improve our finances and improve our credit score so that we can focus on building wealth. One is like making an effort. If you have credit and it's been reduced or is down, like we have to make an effort to look at that credit report regularly. And I have to do a better job of saying, okay, when we do our quarterly meetings, let's make sure that you get your updated credit report, because there's so many times that when I encourage you to look at it, the errors that are found are amazing, like school loans that are on there twice and things like that. And you're thinking, oh, it's just down because I have all these loans. But when loans sell to other loan companies, sometimes they don't take it off. So, get that other eye, get that other person to look at it, right? Establish a budget, establish a financial plan for how we're going to pay it off, how we're going to improve the credit score. If you are credit invisible, let's focus on good ways to build your credit, not just, sloppy ways of just allowing people to take advantage of you. Maybe setting up like secured cards where you put the money in there in a savings, and they also attach it to having a secured credit card that does report to the credit bureau. And, that's a positive way. A fully collateralized personal loan. So these things that are healthy for you are going to require the discipline of saving the money and having a strategy and having a plan, right? Being careful on their credit utilization, keeping how much you use on your credit cards below 30%, right? So if it's $1,000 credit card, you want to have your balance all times below 300. Being very careful about the debts that you get in, because typically we unfortunately get into loans like payday loans, high interest automobile loans, because we feel like we have to have the car or we have to have this money right now. So we do these things, but you're talking about like 21% auto loans, and interest that's extreme, 30% interest rates, 10% home loans, the hard money, loans, feeling like you have to do that because you have to have that right now. According to the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, 39% of Black Americans are likely to use high interest loans like payday loans compared to 21% of white Americans. And that's according to a 2016 report from the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority. That's what that is. 39% of Black Americans are likely to use high interest loans. And something to have all of this information on us. We have to develop strategies on how, statistically, this country depends on us to do things like that. You know how much more profits they make if they can continue to get us to not understand credit, to not understand how things impact our credit score, to not understand that if our credit score is messed up, we can end up paying more for our insurance, car insurance, life insurance, can keep you from getting jobs and everything. We have to be careful and conscious of how we spend our money, and the example that we set for our young people. I'm telling you, it is contagious to be broke. You don't want your people to catch it. It says these high interest rate loans can carry interest rates upward of 300% and lead to repeat borrowing, trapping the borrower in a cycle of debt. And they're talking about those payday loans, y'all. Come on. If you need cash, we got to find better ways. We have to communicate better. You have to realize that you're not the only one. You know, sometimes we're so deep in it that we don't talk to each other. You know, Miss Hayes said you don't need it that bad. Yeah, Miss Hayes, sometimes you do need it that bad. I know that as an entrepreneur and as a single parent. Look, sometimes you really, really do need it that bad. But if you don't know exactly how you're going to pay it back, because I'm gonna tell you, when they make my movie and I tell y'all about some of the extreme things that I have had to do, you were like, wow. You know, but I don't know, I may have mentioned to some of you about when I was in undergrad, and one of my professors, he was like one of the first people who started FedEx. So he was telling them about when they started the company that they couldn't make their payroll. So his partner went to Vegas, took all the money that they had, and he made it. It worked. He came back, paid payroll the next day, and now we know FedEx. But I just like, you know, how many people would have taken that chance? Like, you know, so it's going to, you know, you are going to have to take chances and hopefully never have to gamble it all. But nobody ever got anywhere without taking chances. But let's do as much as we can that when we do that, to never be in that situation again. They couldn't keep doing that. The odds are against them. And that's what we have to realize. You know what I mean? You go, okay, I got to do this for the short term because I got to do this because I got this deal coming in, or we got this coming in, or we got the tax money is coming in or something. You know what I mean? Then I understand that. Then that's some short-term emergency. You got to do it. But the next time, you have to have that money saved to get your car fixed. You have a year, hopefully, before the next emergency comes up. You have to make adjustments, right? Oh, yes, right, Mr. Yancey. You're going to make a movie. Ms. Cottman, if family members could be trusted, they could be trusted. They could get some loans from family members. Exactly. That's how Motown was built, by family members. You know, we have private placements now that they call it. But you know, we talk about that a lot, about how, you know, people come from other countries and they build these businesses, and you know, when we think that they get these loans, you know, they may get some loan money, but a true entrepreneur knows, like, I did not get a loan to start my business. I do not have a loan. My business is debt free. That is where you want to be. You do not want to owe anybody money. You want to make money and keep your money. But so when these people come to this country, they come together, and a lot of times you see them live together, you see them work together, you see them build together, you know, and that's what you have to do. It takes a village. Y'all hear me say that before? It's to build a child. A big article that they did back on me in the 90s when I started the business, and they were I said, this is my baby. This is my